As you probably know, my family recently left a church that we'd been part of for 13 years. This was not a decision on a whim. When we talked as a family and with the leadership of the church, we prayed for years, waiting on God's timing. And when He said go, we left our church with their blessing. Now that we're on this adventure, it's not about me. From the beginning, my wife and children were already part of the prayer and conversations. If any one of them said, I don't think this is the Lord, we would have paused to pray and talk more about it. Why was I committed to this kind of communal decision making? Because again, it's not about me. And God operates in community. I also tell you this, if two of you agree here on earth concerning anything you ask, my Father in heaven will do it for you. For where 2 or 3 gather together as my followers, I am there among them. This keeps us from our natural tendency towards selfishness. This week, I was reading the 2nd book of Samuel, and I was reminded that my life has been impacted by decisions that were made way before I was born, and the decisions I make will directly impact my children and the generations to come. In 2 Samuel 19 and then in 21, we see illustrations of the good and the bad repercussions of a person's life. Chapter 19 talks about an old man named Barzillai. He provided supplies for King David and his followers when King David was in a difficult place in his life. When King David was restored, he offered Barzillai anything he wanted. Instead of personally enjoying the wealth, power, and favor of the king, Barzillai requested that King David take his son Kimham and allow him to live in the king's palace and enjoy the king's favor. King David replied, Kimham will go with me, and I will help him in any way you would like, and I will do for you anything you want. Wow! Can you imagine that because your father did something honorable, you get to live with the king and have your every need and desire met? In 2 Samuel 21, we read about a very different situation. The king before David was King Saul. Saul was incredibly impulsive and led out of his own insecurity. Unfortunately, this resulted in many mistakes and the kingdom being taken out of his hands and passed to David. Saul, along with his son Jonathan, who was a really good guy, lost their lives in combat. But that wasn't the end of the repercussions of his life. One of the decisions Saul made was to break a vow that Israel had with another tribe. The people of Israel had sworn not to kill them, but Saul, in his zeal for Israel and Judah, had tried to wipe them out. The fruit of Saul's actions were a famine on the land and the eventual deaths of 2 of his sons and 5 of his grandsons. The Bible is one long story that crosses over multiple generations. So we see over and over again the effects of one generation's good and bad decisions on the following generations. Your life and my life are also part of this continuing story. We may not see it on the pages made of paper, but the Bible talks about how every step of our lives is recorded in heaven. Never for a moment should I think that this life is just about me. Others have gone before me, and others will follow. We have a responsibility to consciously decide that this life is not about us. The most important thing that I can do is invest in the next generation and keep them in mind with every decision I make. What we build here today is not for us, it's for them. And our goal is to impart that same value to our children. It's not about them, but about the next. As we've been meeting with our leaders and developing our culture for Wellspring, it's been very important to us that our children are included in all of the meetings. Not only that, but we depend on them as part of our leadership. Our musical worship time has included my 16-year-old daughter Luna singing and playing ukulele, 14-year-old Ella Northrop playing guitar, and our 12-year-old son Toa playing percussion. They, along with Ben Northrop, are our worship team. When we've had ministry times, the elementary school age children pray for adults and give them words of encouragement. Our vision is that every aspect of Wellspring be multi-generational. So we intend to continue raising up the next generation and giving them responsibility, honor, and value. If my children call Wellspring their dad's church, I've failed. First of all, the church belongs to Jesus Christ. Secondly, I'm just one cell in this body. And as you know, cells come and go, each one hopefully playing a beneficial part. A cell that's not a healthy part of the body is usually referred to as a cancer. I have a season of life here, and then the next generation will carry it on, and then the next, and the next. What you and I do today, whether we are intentional or not, will impact future generations. What will the repercussions of your life be? What are you building generationally?